Welcome back to Heal Your Past, Master Your Future. I'm your host, Tracy Malone, and today we embark on a transformative journey to explore anger, the beautiful, misunderstood world of anger. In the last episode, I spoke about emotions, exploring our emotions and understanding that emotions are energy in motion. What they also are guideposts to what's going on for us really. Anger is one of those emotions that has the most stigma attached to it. We have so many misconceptions around it. It is one of the emotions that we do not tolerate, we do not allow, and if we see it coming, we don't often support it. We suppress it, we exclude people who have it, and we move away from it as much as we possibly can. During the last episode, when I talked about emotions and how they love to flow, when we actually stop the river flowing that is our emotions, it dams up. And as every dam wall does when it's trying to block a river that is trying to flow, the dam wall will eventually overflow. And our anger often overflows when it's been suppressed. It overflows at the wrong people, at the wrong time, in the wrong way. And this is why we're so scared of it. And as parents, if we're parents, we can often try to stop our children from being angry because we learnt that having anger wasn't safe and we can't send them out into the world with all of that anger. But luckily, some beautiful work, brain-body parenting, nervous system awareness has taught a lot of us as parents to let the anger roll, let it be expressed, let it move through the body and the nervous system as it needs to, and then it can be whatever's next. When we try to stop it, it keeps trying to get out in any way possible. But if we let it flow, if we let it be expressed, then it can be whatever is next, which is always a new emotion. So we have so many stigmas that we hold around anger, and we have anger management courses. We don't have anger expression courses. We don't have anger understanding courses. We have anger management courses. Yeah. So you can see where it is that I come from a different point of view. And this is actually where a lot of really beautiful therapy comes from these days. When you're working with someone who's trained to hold and support you through these times, you can actually really learn how to express this in a safe way. Embracing and expressing the emotions includes vulnerability. So what you're doing when you're really allowing yourself to express emotions that you were not allowed to express when you were a child. You were told that if you expressed these emotions, you would be excluded. If you're angry, go to your room. Don't be angry. Stop that behavior right now. And you turn it around right now. Because we will only have good things here. We will not have bad things like anger. So in order to show someone and trust someone with your anger now that you're learning these new tools, it is a massive, massive moment of vulnerability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some tools, some guidance into things to think about as to how to do that safely. I also have an audio course that I'll speak about later on Insight Timer that will take you through each of the things we think about with practical tools, tips, and full support. So when we're embracing that vulnerability and learning to communicate and nurture healthier relationships and express our anger, you might want a few tools to do that first by yourself before you start doing it with others. Now, the best way that we can do that is through healing our past. Remember, that is the key to so much. Heal the past, master your future. So really explore the connection between your present day triggers through anger, what really makes you anger, and your unresolved childhood experiences. So many people that I talk to go, I'm really angry because this happened. I'm like, okay, that's great. When was the first time that happened to you? Well, when I was 3, my dad did this. If we healed the part of us who was wounded at 3 and made them feel safe, allowed our 3-year-old to express their anger, and when somebody did that to us as an adult, we wouldn't be triggered by it. we'd have a lot more compassion, we'd have a lot more acceptance and a massive lack of judgment about what's going on in front of us. Healing the past triggers and past unresolved childhood experiences is the key. Cultivating compassionate communication. So once you've done some work around healing those moments from childhood, and when your child comes up and they're really angry, you can just witness their anger. It's a beautiful thing to do in meditation if that's your chosen form of healing. Cultivating compassionate communication. Learning something like non-violent communication, assertiveness techniques, they can really transform your ability to deal with conflict. Compassionate communication is really understanding how to use a different language. We learn to take full responsibility for our emotions and our experience and communicate that instead of throwing it at the other person. So instead of saying things like, when you did this, you made me so angry, you learn to say things like, when I heard the words, you can't do that because it really triggered my anger. And I have this anger from my childhood and it does not make me feel good. And that's something that I need to take responsibility for, but I'm letting you know that was my experience and that's what happened to me. Can you feel the difference between those two things? Learning something like nonviolent communication transforms relationships and it transforms your ability to manage conflict in any area of your life. So we spoke before about anger and childhood wounds and how you can deal with that in the moment. But I also want you to understand that anger is actually a really important emotion. And anger has benefits. Anger is something that tells us things like, my boundary has just been crossed. I don't feel safe right now. Something is feeling really wrong to me and my body is letting me know. These are really important things to understand. But if you're telling yourself that anger is not allowed and you're shoving it back down, then you're missing all of these guideposts and signposts and you're going to walk straight into something and then you're going to have somebody violate your boundaries in some way and then you're going to blame them from it. It's not anyone's fault as such. But understanding this, understanding your anger and allowing it to have a voice, which I will go into next, is a way that you can understand that it is a beautiful emotion. It is a really important emotion. And it is an emotion that can show us boundaries, how to assert our boundaries. I was once told when I trained in counselling that anger is passion for oneself. And I've always remembered that. And so I've always honoured anger when it comes to me, and I've always listened to it. So there's an invitation here as well for you to give your anger a voice, not by yelling at other people, but by listening to it. And a great way to do this is you can do a bit of a verbal riff. If you don't like journaling, you can just sit there and you can talk to yourself and you go, anger, what have you got to tell me? Speak now. And you can just start talking and the words will just come through and you can speak them out loud and the anger will download itself to you and tell you what it is that it's saying. The chances are it's a part of your psyche, your soul, one of the travellers on the bus that we talked about in episode 2, speaking up and telling you where anger is coming from and why it's important and what to do next. Your anger can actually give you all of that if you listen to it. The other thing you can do is journal, like I said before. A very similar way. You can just write in your journal, piece of paper, whatever. It doesn't have to be a journal. Anger, what do you need to tell me? And then you just keep writing and you allow anger to write the words. When people do this, they have the most profound insights and experiences. But the key here is to write at least 2 to 3 pages and let anger really speak. Because anger has been told it is not welcome. Anger has been told it's not allowed. So even at the start, if nothing's coming, then you're right, okay, I know that anger has been something that I've not been allowed to express, so this is going to be really hard for me to get this out and I don't feel quite safe doing this, but I want you to know, anger, that it's safe for you to speak now, and then let these things keep coming. And sooner or later, every time anyone's done this, they have had some extraordinary insights into why they're actually angry. And not a single person who has ever gone through my course, and I've had over 1,000 people go through this anger course now, not a single person has said to me, my anger is not valid. My anger is for no reason. Every single person's anger is valid. And when they stopped and they listened to it, they realized why. And what that did was give them such an extraordinary sense of empowerment, which is what I love to do for people and what I'm hoping that this podcast episode is doing for you. So listen to your anger, hear what it has to say, and then look at how you can meet the need. It is something that I will speak about often. How do you meet the need of your anger? What does your anger need? Once it's spoken to you, what can you do to help it along? It could tell you what it needs you to do, and you can actually open a conversation with your anger. Becoming mindful with your anger. We know a bit about mindfulness now. It's quite popular in society, and it's a beautiful thing because it's observing something as it happens. What's beautiful about mindful anger is that you're responding to your emotions consciously. Remember my favorite quote from Carl Jung, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will run our life and we'll call it fate. So we consciously stop, listen, go within, and we can make conscious choices about our emotions and what that is they're trying to tell us. And the more you do that, the more you're developing a deeper understanding of yourself. There are so many things that we can learn during this lifetime, but I promise you, the most interesting and important learning journey you can go on is learning about and understanding yourself. So we've spoken a little bit about nonviolent communication and nurturing healthy relationships. You can see now how understanding your own anger can actually transform your relationships. Because if you're somebody who comes home and is really angry, you can actually help yourself process the anger. And you can come home and instead of laying it all on everyone around you, because we do that, we lay it on the people that we love the most. You're my safe person, so I'm going to offload everything that I can't be vulnerable with for other people. And it's lovely to be able to have those safe people to do that with, but it's also not their responsibility to carry your anger and process it for you and take it on for you. And especially children, because they do that. And your partner, they love you and they may take your anger on for you. And then everything gets entangled and muddled up and nothing good happens. But if you come home and you say, I've had a massive day, I've got a lot of anger inside of me, I do not want to project it on anyone. I'm going to take 30 minutes to speak to my anger, and you're going to deal with it. You're going to do whatever it is you need to do. Take yourself for a walk, dance, write, do whatever it is that you do to deal with your actual anger. And then when you come back and you are with your family, you can be present and you can be processed. And you don't have to shove the anger down because everyone can feel it and they know it's under the surface. Anyone who's ever had an angry parent walks around on eggshells waiting for them to blow. And it's not a nice, safe environment to be in. Really learn to communicate what you're feeling. Take yourself away, process what you need to, come back and be present with the people that you love. Another really, really, really important thing to do is embrace self-compassion. What I'm really hoping you get out of this podcast and what so many people write to me about from the course on anger that I've got is they go, you gave me permission to have anger. I've always believed it's a bad thing. I always thought I was a bad person because I was so angry. I now understand why I've been angry, and I have such beautiful compassion and understanding of myself. I cannot tell you the joy that that brings me, that is what is happening in the world due to people truly understanding and embracing their anger. So self-compassion is about everything that I just spoke about. Self-criticism gets us nowhere. Telling us the same thing that was told to us as a child, don't be angry, you're bad if you're angry, angry is not acceptable, you will be left out and excluded, etc., etc. Telling yourself that as well. You're just amplifying everything that has been keeping you in this anger cycle. The invitation here is to embrace emotional freedom. When you embrace your anger, when you process your anger, when you listen to your anger and you find out why it's there, what it needs, and you meet that need, you have emotional freedom. I'd really love you to consider continuing your journey of embracing your emotions and seeking understanding of yourself. And when you seek and begin understanding yourself, then you can have more understanding for others. I really hope that this has been an enlightening episode for you, that you also feel that you are ready to embrace your anger, listen to your anger, and give it a voice. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of anger and their importance in our world and their importance for our inner healing journey. To learn more about anything that I've spoken about or to connect with me, you can visit my website or my socials. The links are in the show notes. And know that when you're on this journey of healing your past and mastering your future, you are not alone. Self-discovery is something that is incredible, and you have me here to support you, and I'm sure you have many others along the way. Keep listening for more empowering conversations and insights on the Heal Your Past, Master Your Future podcast.